Hello. Several people have inquired about how to do a cladogram. That you have an activity that you have to do where you are given a character table. This is a character table right here, and you have to convert that character table into a cladogram, which appears down here. So your character table is not as neat as this one, but oftentimes people, when they get characteristics, so you can see the different characteristics here and the different creatures over here. They'll actually take and organize their character table so that you can see that the lancelet has all zeros. Here, this lamprey only has one. The tuna has two characteristics, and you can see that they've neatly put these characteristics so that you can see a pattern of some creatures showing none of the characteristics and some creatures having all the characteristics. And this makes it in a convenient way to look at the information and then to build your cladogram from that. So when you get your activity, you may want to actually take and take your character table and organize it in such a way that it makes more sense to you by organizing it similar to this character table up here. That's your choice to do. Some people can eyeball it. So you can see that based on the character table, you can see that the lancelet has none of the characteristics, so it's considered to be an outgroup. Then you get the first characteristics, the vertebral column, and the vertebral column is shared by all the other creatures from the lamprey all the way to the leopard. So we write that characteristic right there on the line, and and then we begin to look at the second characteristic, which is hinged jaw. So lampreys do not have a hinged jaw. So if we write down hinged jaw, the lamprey would be a group that comes out from that. It does have a vertebral column, but it doesn't have a hinged jaw. So we draw that line out this way and then have the lamprey on the end of that line. Well, you know, tuna do have hinged jaws, but they don't have four walking legs. So we have an outgroup coming, or a group coming off that has the tuna, and then we write the next characteristic, walking legs. So salamanders, turtles, and leopards have four walking legs, but salamanders do not have an amniotic egg. So they're a group that comes off. And then you can see the turtle does not have hair, so the turtle comes off, and finally we end up with the leopard at the very end. So a good way to do this activity that you have to do is to take the character table and arrange it in such a way that you can easily see, you know, what characteristics creatures have and what characteristics creatures don't have, and then you can and build your cladogram from that. So cladograms can be done in many different kinds of ways. This is a cladogram that's taken hagfish and all the way to chimps. You can see that hagfish do not have jaws, so they're an outgroup. They don't have any of the characteristics that we've listed here. But if you have jaws, you can list that down there. Bring your perch off. Perch don't have lungs, but salamanders do. Some salamanders do, so they come off. Salamanders don't have claws or nails, but lizards through chimps do, so you have lizards come off. And then over here, it's kind of a different way of doing it. They have feathers that are listed here on the side row, and then they have the birds coming off, the pigeon coming off there. And then here you can see sometimes you can put two characteristics instead of just one characteristic there. It's kind of atypical, but you know, mice and chimps do have fur and mammary glands, and you can see that the mouse and chimp are basically very closely related to each other. They share this little node right there, and then chimps go off this way and mice go off this way. So that there are multiple ways you can do cladograms. This is just a different way that you can do it, showing you that you could have characteristics coming on the actual line. You know, perhaps maybe you wanted to say scales right here, so you could put scales, and this would be a characteristic that fish share, but the rest of these creatures maybe don't share. So there's many different ways you can do the cladograms. So when you get your character table, this is what your character table looks like. Maybe a good thing that you might want to do is you can see that all zeros are here, and the ones that have the most ones are over here, but you may want to take the assassin bug and the beetle and the body louse and arrange them so you can see the characteristics in a better organization. So that's one thing you can do. But you will have to build a tree. Your tree will look something like this, and you'll have lines that will come off of it. And this group right here will be the outgroup. This will be the group that has the least number of characteristics. And of course, these creatures down here would have the most characteristics. And you'll put, on these lines, you'll put the various kinds of descriptors there, such as 3-body regions, wings, mobile head, flattened body, social. You might have a characteristic that comes off here. So you can arrange it whatever way you like to. Sometimes you might have 2 characteristics, so maybe you have 2 characteristics here. That's perfectly fine to do that. But ultimately, everything goes on its own line once you finalize your final cladogram. And what this is going to show is how creatures are related to each other based on the kinds of characteristics that they have. This group down here will have the least number of characteristics it shares in common with all the creatures, and these creatures over here will have the most characteristics that they have in common. So this activity was not made to be easy. It was made to challenge you. This is college level work. I wanted you to get challenged from this activity. So make sure that you take and do your very best. Build a cool cladogram. Again, there's multiple ways that you can do it, and you can look at examples online. So I hope that you'll try to do your very best. And if this video wasn't helpful, then maybe you would need to give me, an email. So good luck in your cladogram and enjoy the challenge of doing it.